Welcome to another Brand Decoded show. And in today's show, I want to talk about money. Money is not what you think it is. Money has evolved dramatically over the years. But in order to have this story conveyed, I need you to play a game of hypothesis of how would you perceive world if you came into 3,000 years before Christ, Egypt, and there was an emergence of papyrus, which is the ancient version of paper, and all the barter that was happening without the concept of money. So imagine a world where money did not exist, right? So let's say you are a farmer, you have cows, your coworker or other farmer on another farm, he had grain. You need grain, he needs cows, you guys get together, 2 cows, from me to you, you give me 6 silos of grain or whatnot, boom, trade happens. There's a lot of economic inefficiencies. Someone got screwed over, someone benefited, they didn't even know. Like, hey, we're just gonna do this trade. Then, like, if they had to do something else, they would have to trade something else and find the person that needed that exact thing in order to barter. So at one point, priests said, like, we'll safeguard your belongings, we will keep them safe in our vaults, and we'll issue you a paper. And you can take that paper if you don't need the things that we are safeguarding for you. You can go and take that paper, give it to someone else, and get the thing that you want from them, and trust us, we'll keep them safe. So that was basically a creation of the first bank and the first papers that held value. That was maybe it wasn't the first instance in which money emerged, but that was one of the first historical recordings that I know of that was mentioning the formation of money through the introducing affordable piece of paper to be transferred around freely. So fast track from there, the money emerged and the coins became a means of barter as the primary mean of barter. And also with the emergence of coins, the most powerful tool in the history of humanity was introduced. And that is interest rate and money supply. These two things have been governing the Roman Empire for thousands of years. And the debt and the interest on that debt were the foundation of the modern economy that we live in today. Some of the concepts from the Roman Empire are still living in the monetary policies of Federal System of Reserves of the United States. Fed, as its shorter name is regulating these two powers: money supply, how much money is in circulation, and the interest rates. Like, you know that they've been raising interest rates from 0 to 7 and that they plateaued them right now. So you need to understand the concept of that. Now, that is the money in its conceptual nature. So the taxes that are introduced into the equation are a way for a government to capture all of the value that you're creating and utilize it for maintaining this system. So the government is essentially capturing immense energy from all of us every time you do a transaction. Like, you have to conceptualize the number of transactions that's happening on a daily basis. And when you conceptualize that number of transactions, you have to understand that the value has been captured along the way on every little detail throughout the entire system of our lives. Like, so government is there when you're taking a sip of water, they tax you for that water. When you go buy toilet paper, that toilet paper gets taxed as well. The person who was working to produce that toilet paper was taxed on the salary he made. Every little point of interaction that's happening, except maybe drug trade. And even that is getting taxed somehow in some way because government has a way of taxing everything. So every interaction where money moves from one hand to another is being taxed. And if it's not taxed, chances are you're not paying your taxes. So conceptualize that money has been introduced as a means of control and power over your life through taxation, right? So this is one part of the game. This way, the government as an entity is collecting all the energy from the ecosystem in order to sustain itself and the ecosystem as a whole. Not a bad thing, like in its entirety. The only problem is when the government doesn't represent the people, but that's a whole different political issue. I want to have you to start thinking about how money is moving and how every step of the way as the money is moving, someone's collecting a piece of the pie. Even if it's like a 6 cent tax in Chicago for the plastic bags that goes to the city of Chicago, someone somewhere is always collecting this free flow of money that circulates through the system. You're buying a water, someone's buying a website, someone's buying a service, someone's buying a coaching. The collection of taxes is never stopping, never ending process. So the government is in every transaction that's occurring throughout the system. In some countries more, in some countries less efficiently. So that's just something to keep in mind. But as I'm explaining this whole flow of money, I want you to understand this money is flowing. No one is actually making money. You're not making money. That's the first concept that I want you to understand. You can't make money. You can just position yourself in one spot and collect it, or create the system that helps you capture the attention from the environment in order to collect that money. Now you start to understand the wealth creation, or like, how are you positioning yourself? And this is literally marketing positioning because this money is the ecosystem of the human attention in how the energy of the entire ecosystem is flowing. So when you start to understand this, sometimes in the past, all you had to do was open up a store and people are moving around and they go and buy something. It's a circulation and you captured someone's needs because your store was there. Whether it's a jewelry store or a grocery store or anything else, it was based on the human circulation. But world evolved. We do not have human circulation in the physical sense of the word. We have human circulation in the digital sense of the word. That is something novel that didn't exist before. So the attention in the reality went from physical, from you going to the store, to becoming 100% digital, to you opening the store on your phone. So there is no more physical component, but the attention can be an approximation of physical location of the past. So therefore, attention became as valuable as the wielder of attention is. So not all attention is created equally. Some attention, some units, some humans have more purchase parity than others. So some of the attention is more valuable than the other attention. Not all attention is equal because of the purchasing capability of certain parts of the ecosystem compared to the others. So you have to start to understand that value is being transferred through the attention now, because you don't have to open up a store in order to sell something. Your store is becoming digital. And the only thing you have to do is capture the attention. Now, this leaves a lot of room for people to start conceptualizing how business is being created. Business is being created through attention in and of itself, and through maximization of your access to this attention. That is how you can start positioning yourself in the ecosystem that you have the value and you can deliver on the promise of that value. Then money will start changing hands and will start coming in your way because someone else believed that you can give them more than what they paid you. That's how you can start moving money through services or through selling your knowledge. So that you have to start understanding how money flows. Number one, that you can't make money if you're not Fed. Fed is the only entity in the world that can create money. Everyone else can debase the money that Fed created, but there are also other governments that are using the dollar as their reserve currency. So to simplify this, you first learn that you can't make money, and then you have to learn what do human minds perceive as valuable and where they would exchange the money that they possess for whatever is that you have that you can offer to them, whether it's coaching, knowledge, tutoring, mentoring, that's like services, or your dropshipping products, or your information that you have on certain subject matter. Like I'm going dramatically from the digital perspective, but also your influence, your own ability to distribute content, ideas to a specific group of people, aka your audience. There are multitude ways that you can transact what is it that you have that you can give to someone else that doesn't have it. Took me a while to figure this out, and as someone who's been through 2,500 sales calls in the last 6 years, I've started to realize that my sales game doesn't only have to happen when I am one-on-one talking to a prospect. The sales can happen multilaterally when I post content on the internet. And this is what we call leverage. And leverage is you earning mind share in other people's minds. And the leverage is only as powerful as the quality and purchasing parity of the attention that you captured. That is in the digital world. There are many other ways you can make money, but throughout my entire existence, there were only 4 days in my life where I was making money in the physical world. I worked in a grocery store for 4 days. On Friday, I've quit. And that was a sheer emotional reaction to me arriving to the new continent. That's 10 years ago when I just moved to the States. I worked in a grocery store because I was afraid that I won't make money. And I want to tell you, this is like a deep personal story, but the fear over not having money is the most destructive power over your life that you can experience. That fear is going to diminish your income. And every time you're afraid, it's a sign that you need to do something else. You need to conquer this fear, act in spite of it, and do something different. Like, do not work in a grocery store. Muster all your cognitive capacity and intellectual capacity and deploy it in figuring out how to capture value, whether through sales or marketing. Either or is your way out. The sooner you understand sales and marketing, the sooner you can stop believing in the toxic beliefs that were fed to you by the system. The system has trained you through your entire life to be an obedient servant of the system, and you've been introduced artificial scarcity in your life through the group thinking. Meaning the group of the people that you're surrounded with is plagued with fear and scarcity as two driving factors, because people are trained to be shaved through taxation. You're a cattle to your government to an extent. And I'm using this as a plastic example, how you are being treated. I'm observing how the governments of the world, and increasingly the governments of the West, and I'm not trying to get political, I'm trying to observe the fact, how the governments of the West are treating the people like cattle. And pharmaceutical companies and medical companies, by extension, are using government as a tool of using the people as the cattle for their own profits. So you have to understand that the economy is somewhat of a zero-sum game until some entrepreneur comes in and starts turning the game into an infinity. But there are not that many great entrepreneurs out there. There are more grifters than creators. So your thought process as an entrepreneur should be one of the value creator. There's so much value to be created in the world that only kind of business that you should be doing is the one of the value creation. Do not do business that doesn't create value. There's so much value to be created in the era of infinity. We live in the infinite era of human evolution, right? So there is no need to bog down yourself with old school industries that are just mooching on people's efforts. You can always position yourself in the places of the economy where things are booming, exploding, and changing the world. It's a matter of choice. You need to understand that you can capture the value in ethical and good ways where you are adding value to the humanity. It doesn't have to be parasitic or grifty in nature. You can create wealth and be rewarded for it by using your entrepreneurial abilities as a human being. So that covers the mindset shift in wealth creation, but it also is counterintuitive because we're saying that you can't make money. You can only capture it. So use your creative capacity to capture money by utilizing your mind and not your time. Or at the very least, as you're starting out, you can utilize your mind and other people's time to capture wealth. I hope that clears it up for you, because that's one of the things I've been doing, but I want to take it to a whole next level. I want to give people a guidance and a direction on how they can convey value. If you can articulate value that you're bringing to the table, you will have easier time explaining to people why they should pay you more over the other guy. The other guy that doesn't have the articulation to explain what is his value can get cheated out of the system. So something to bear in mind is that you explaining your value is the easiest way to get paid for the value that you bring. Therefore, good communication skills and being sharp when you're talking to people are life-changing skills that they are not teaching at school, because they want you to be sheep that they can shave for the wool over and over and over and over again. I want you to break through of the pattern of scarcity that has been indoctrinated into your mind, and you've been robbed of abundance. The society has robbed you from feeling abundance because it prefers that you are not a threat to the system, but a mere sheep that delivers value and doesn't ask for too much. Meaning that the society has put you in a disadvantageous position when you're negotiating your value. the better you get at articulating your value, the more you will get rewarded by the society for the value that you bring to the table. I hope this shatters some thought process of how you should think about money, because no one's telling you how to think about money and how you can think about the value, perceived value of what you're giving and what you're getting in every transaction that you encounter. And I think most of people understand this instinctively. But when it comes down to conveying this value of their own, there is this big metaphysical challenge of fighting the indoctrination that they've been through their entire upbringing from their parents. This is passive propaganda from the parents onto a child. And then there's active propaganda from the college, university, high school onto a young mind. So becoming a good entrepreneur and becoming amazing at wealth creation means that not so much that you need to learn something new, but it means that you need to unlearn all the propaganda that has been instilled in your mind, and that you need to unfetter your mind as an autistic person, that you don't believe in what everyone around you believes. Only then will you be able to move as an entrepreneur. And only then will you be able to effortlessly capture value, because you know how to communicate it. And that, my friends, is how you get rich. Have a good night.